Hello, and welcome to Shortcut Up CNC. Happy New Year, everyone. This is a project where there's a plaque with some numbers on it, and we have an eagle model in the middle of it. Now, we're going to create this using the toolpaths and the layers. Okay, the frame is set up on Okay, the frame plus the vector of okay, we can move that to the eagle model layer. That's where it's supposed to be. Okay, and now there's our frame where we're going to put our information. And we've got the eagle model with its vector. Now, when you create the vector, it's created by using a tool that comes with VCarve or Aspire. I'm going to go ahead and delete this vector, and I'm going to recreate it using the tool available. Okay, so I don't have a component there. It's highlighted. Now you see the vector that was created around it. That's using the tool. It's called Create Vector Boundary Around the Selected Component. That gives me a vector to work with. And we also want to make sure that we're on the right layer, or else it'll put it on that particular layer. So now it's back on the frame layer. So now what I want to do is I want to take and highlight the vector again and right click on it and move it back to the eagle model. And now we go back to the layers and we can make sure everything's sorted out properly. There's our eagle and the model, and here are our number sets. Okay, I've already created toolpaths. What we're going to do is we want to make a pocket inside of here and inside the numbers to give it a little depth, so to speak, or a 3D look. So I'm going to go ahead and click on these two toolpaths that I've already created. And those were created using the association of layers to the toolpath, which is another video that you can look at. It'll show you how to associate the vectors to certain layers, which is using that selector or the manual. In this particular case, I selected everything manually because nothing is selected. Nothing's highlighted, nothing's selected there. So I did the manual. So I'll take that back. So now we'll go ahead and calculate that. Of course, it's saying no vectors available. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and see. Yeah, we need this vector here. Now we can say calculate. And it gives everything that I need. It pocketed inside the letters and around the outside of the model. So we're going to go ahead and preview that. And what I don't want any color. I want to change. Okay, we're on a board already, Canadian maple. Let's change that to, oh, vertical. Actually, I want the horizontal look. So we just select oak. There we go, horizontal grain. Okay, now we're going to preview that particular tool pass. We'll move it a little bit so you can see that it's actually cutting. Excuse me. All right, there it's completed the, well, no, not quite. It's fooled me there. It's making the second pass. I got it cutting probably an eighth of an inch to go down to eighth of an inch passes to get to 0.25, which is quarter inch deep. All right, now it's complete on those particular two pass. And now we go to the 3D roughing of the model. Of course, the model, you want to make sure that the model is positioned in the material. This is the designation for the model here. I've got a little excess material above, which is what you want to carve that little bit. I've got 20 thousandths. And then you got the rest of it underneath. Of course, you may not want all this thickness. I happen to have this set on a 3/4 inch material board. And the model height is not that great. In other words, it doesn't go through the entire thickness of the material. Now, you can find out what the model height is by going to the component, and it's 4.7. Say it's only not quite a half inch. So that leaves you with quite a bit of material underneath. So that's how I set that up. And of course, it's always going to ask you to calculate tool pass whenever you make changes to that. And we didn't make any changes, so I'm going to leave it as is. Now we get into the 3D roughing. The boundary offset, most of the time, I use the selected vector that I've created. This way I can adjust the boundary offset a little bit. And what I've got this one, the boundary offset is 2.5. I'm going to change it to 1/8 of an inch. Actually, let's see, my bit that I'm using is 1/4, an eighth. That's fine. And the machining allowance, leaving that much material in excess for the final pass to be able to carve that nice and neat. And I don't use the 3D raster much. I like the Z level. So let's calculate that. Of course, it's asking for some more information. So the model's not highlighted, neither is the vector. So what we do is we do that, and now we say calculate, and it will calculate the roughing tool path. Now we preview that tool path. And there you've got that roughed out. Now with 3D finish, I want to try to use the same selected vector. I want to use the boundary offset of 125, the same as what I used on the roughing. I'm going to use a small tapered ball nose to carve the final pass or the finishing machining. And I'm going to use the offset, not the raster. And things should already be highlighted. Well, they're not. So we'll go ahead and highlight them and calculate. The reason I said they may be already highlighted is because the 3D roughing uses the same vectors and the same model. So we preview that, and there you see it's cutting it nice and clean. And of course, you notice everything's nice and even. You won't always get that the first time. The first time I did it, I had some material all around the model. So in order to find out, in fact, let's change the pocket depth to, let's say, 400. Calculate. And we're going to reset the preview. And I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as material left around the model. Okay, the pocket, we want to preview the visible on that. Of course, it's going to do the 2 passes again. And of course, I've got it on the high quality preview stage or simulations quality. So it's going to look nice and sharp, and it takes a little more time to carve in the preview. Okay, now we previewed that to 400 deep. Now we're going to do the 3D roughing on the model. And you'll see cutouts around here. See, that's cutting into the material that surrounds the eagle. So when we do the finishing pass, it will also have that same feature around it. Now, what I was saying earlier is that that's what you're going to get the first couple of times. To get this thickness down to the base of this, you just put your cursor over the top of this and you look over here in this corner and you'll see what the z-axis shows. 4923. Negative 4923. That's how much material it cut off to that point. So that's what we want to go to. We want to get to that point on the pocket. So I can redo the pocket by just putting 923 in here, calculate, and preview the visible tool paths of the pocket, and it will take it down to the same level as that surrounding the eagle. See what I'm talking about? So there you have a nice looking plaque so far. Now what we're going to do is do the profile cutout of it, and that will be the finish of our plaque. Thank you for watching Shark Cut Up CNC.